tales come alive. Meet Ella Manny, they're here to dive into tales of wonder, adventures unfurls. Together they explore with animated Bible stories. Oh, joyful tales with Ella Manny, laughter and fun, there's plenty uncanny.
Welcome back to our channel. Please like, share and subscribe for more of our videos. Sit back and enjoy today's video. Jacob goes to Egypt, Genesis chapter 46 to 50. So Jacob, also called Israel, took all he had and started his trip. He went to Beersheba. There he offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. During the night, God spoke to Israel in a vision. He said, "Jacob, Jacob." And Jacob answered, "Here I am." Then God said, "I am God, the God of your father. Don't be afraid to go to Egypt. I will make your descendants a great nation there. I will go to Egypt with you, and I will bring you out of Egypt again. Joseph's own hands will close your eyes when you die." Then Jacob left Beersheba. The sons of Israel loaded their father, their children, and their wives. They put them in the wagons the king of Egypt had sent. They also took their farm animals and everything they had gotten in Canaan. So Jacob went to Egypt with all his descendants. He took his sons and grandsons, his daughters and granddaughters. He took all his family to Egypt with him. Jacob sent Judah ahead of him to see Joseph in Goshen. Then Jacob and his people came into the land of Goshen. Joseph prepared his chariot and went to meet his father Israel in Goshen. As soon as Joseph saw his father, he hugged his neck, and he cried there for a long time. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Now I am ready to die. I have seen your face, and I know that you are still alive." Joseph said to his brothers and his father's family, "I will go and tell the king you are here. I will say, 'My brothers and my father's family have left the land of Canaan. They have come here to me. They are shepherds and take care of farm animals. And they have brought their flocks and their herds and everything they own with them.' When the king calls you, he will ask, 'What work do you do?' This is what you should tell him. 'We, your servants, have taken care of farm animals all our lives. Our ancestors did the same thing.' Then the king will allow you to settle in the land of Goshen. This is away from the Egyptians. They don't like to be near shepherds." Joseph went in to the king and said, "My father and my brothers have arrived from Canaan. They have their flocks and herds and everything they own with them. They are now in the land of Goshen." Joseph chose 5 of his brothers to introduce to the king. The king said to the brothers, "What work do you do?" And they said to him, "We, your servants, are shepherds. Our ancestors were also shepherds." They said to the king, "We have come to live in this land. There is no grass in the land of Canaan for our animals to eat. The hunger is very terrible there. So please allow us to live in the land of Goshen." Then the king said to Joseph, "Your father and your brothers have come to you. You may choose any place in Egypt for them to live. Give your father and your brothers the best land. Let them live in the land of Goshen. And if any of them are skilled shepherds, put them in charge of my sheep and cattle." Then Joseph brought in his father Jacob and introduced him to the king. And Jacob blessed the king. Then the king said to Jacob, "How old are you?" Jacob said to him, "My life has been spent wandering from place to place. It has been short, filled with trouble. I have lived only 130 years. My ancestors lived much longer than I." Then Jacob blessed the king and left. Joseph obeyed the king. He gave his father and brothers the best land in Egypt. It was near the city of Ramesses, And Joseph gave his father, his brothers, and everyone who lived with them the food they needed. The hunger became worse, and there was no food anywhere in the land. The land of Egypt and the land of Canaan became very poor because of this. Joseph collected all the money that was to be found in Egypt and Canaan. People paid him this money for the grain they were buying. He brought that money to the king's palace. After some time, the people in Egypt and Canaan had no money left. So they went to Joseph and said, "Please give us food. Our money is gone. If we don't eat, we will die here in front of you." Joseph answered, "Since you have no money, give me your farm animals. I will give you food in return." So people brought their farm animals to Joseph, and he gave them food in exchange for their horses, sheep, cattle, and donkeys. So he kept them alive by trading food for their farm animals that year. The next year the people came to Joseph and said, "You know we have no money left, and all our animals belong to you. We have nothing left except our bodies and our land. Surely both we and our land will die here in front of you. Buy us and our land in exchange for food, and we will be slaves to the king, together with our land. Give us seed to plant. Then we will live and not die, and the land will not become a desert." So Joseph bought all the land in Egypt for the king. Every Egyptian sold Joseph his field because the hunger was very great. So the land became the king's, and Joseph made the people slaves from one end of Egypt to the other. The only land he did not buy was the land the priests owned. They did not need to sell their land because the king paid them for their work. So they had money to buy food. Joseph said to the people, "Now I have bought you and your land for the king, so I will give you seed, and you can plant your fields. At harvest time you must give 1/5 to the king. You may keep 4/5 for yourselves. Use it as seed for the field and as food for yourselves, your families, and your children." The people said, "You have saved our lives. If you like, we will become slaves of the king." So Joseph made a law in Egypt, which continues today. 1/5 of everything from the land belongs to the king. The only land the king did not get was the priest's land. The Israelites continued to live in the land of Goshen in Egypt. There they got possessions. They had many children and grew in number. Jacob, also called Israel, lived in Egypt 17 years. So he lived to be 147 years old. Israel knew he soon would die. So he called his son Joseph to him. He said to Joseph, "If you love me, put your hand under my leg. Promise me you will not bury me in Egypt. When I die, carry me out of Egypt. Bury me where my ancestors are buried." Joseph answered, "I will do as you say." Then Jacob said, "Promise me." And Joseph promised him that he would do this. Then Israel worshipped as he leaned on the top of his walking stick. Sometime later, Joseph learned that his father was very sick. So he took his 2 sons Manasseh and Ephraim and went to his father. When Joseph arrived, someone told Jacob, also called Israel, "Your son Joseph has come to see you." Jacob was weak, so he used all his strength and sat up on his bed. Then Jacob said to Joseph, "God all-powerful appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan. God blessed me there. He said to me, 'I will give you many children. I will make you the father of many peoples, and I will give your descendants this land forever.' Your 2 sons were born here in Egypt before I came. They will be counted as my own sons. Ephraim and Manasseh will be my sons, just as Reuben and Simeon are my sons. But if you have other children, they will be your own. but their land will be part of the land given to Ephraim and Manasseh. When I came from northwest Mesopotamia, Rachel died in the land of Canaan. We were traveling toward Ephraim. This made me very sad. I buried her there beside the road to Ephraim. Today, Ephraim is Bethlehem. Then Israel saw Joseph's sons. He said, "Who are these boys?" Joseph said to his father, "They are my sons. God has given them to me here in Egypt." Israel said, "Bring your sons to me so I may bless them." At this time, Israel's eyesight was bad because he was old. So Joseph brought the boys close to him. Israel kissed the boys and put his arms around them. He said to Joseph, "I thought I would never see you alive again. And now God has let me see you and also your children." Then Joseph moved his sons off Israel's lap. Joseph bowed face down to the ground. He put Ephraim on his right side and Manasseh on his left. So Ephraim was near Israel's left hand and Manasseh was near Israel's right hand. Joseph brought the boys close to Israel, but Israel crossed his arms. He put his right hand on the head of Ephraim, who was younger. He put his left hand on the head of Manasseh, but he was the firstborn son, and Israel blessed Joseph and said, "My ancestors Abraham and Isaac served our God, and like a shepherd God has led me all my life. He was the angel who saved me from all my troubles. Now I pray that he will bless these boys. May my name be known through these boys. And may the names of my ancestors, Abraham and Isaac, be known through them. May they have many descendants on the earth." Joseph saw that his father put his right hand on Ephraim's head. Joseph didn't like it, so he took hold of his father's hand. He wanted to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. Joseph said to his father, "You are doing it wrong, father. Manasseh is the firstborn son. Put your right hand on his head." But his father refused and said, "I know, my son, I know. Manasseh will be great and have many descendants, but his younger brother will be greater, and his descendants will be enough to make a nation." So Israel blessed them that day. He said, "When a blessing is given in Israel, they will say, 'May God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh.'" In this way he made Ephraim greater than Manasseh. Then Israel said to Joseph, "Look at me, I am about to die. But God will be with you. He will take you back to the land of your fathers. I have given you something that I did not give your brothers. I have given you the land of Shechem that I took from the Amorite people. I took it with my sword and my bow." Then Jacob called his sons to him, which are the 12 tribes of Israel. He said, "Come here to me. I will tell you what will happen to you in the future." He gave each son the blessing that was right for him. Then Israel gave them a command. He said, "I am about to die. Bury me with my ancestors in the cave in the field of Ephraim the Hittite. That cave is in the field of Machpelah east of Mamre. It is in the land of Canaan. Abraham bought that field from Ephraim the Hittite for a burying place. Abraham and Sarah, his wife, are buried there. Isaac and Rebekah, his wife, are buried there. I buried my wife Leah there. The field and the cave in it were bought from the Hittite people." After Jacob finished talking to his sons, he lay down. He put his feet back on the bed, took his last breath, and died. When Jacob died, Joseph hugged his father and cried over him and kissed him. He commanded the doctors who served him to prepare his father's body. So the doctors prepared Jacob's body to be buried. It took the doctors 40 days to prepare his body. This was the usual time it took. And the Egyptians had a time of sorrow for Jacob. It lasted 70 days. When this time of sorrow had ended, Joseph spoke to the king's officers. He said, "If you think well of me, please tell this to the king. When my father was near death, I made a promise to him. I promised I would bury him in a cave in the land of Canaan. This is a burial place that he cut out for himself. So please let me go and bury my father. Then I will return." The king answered, "Keep your promise. Go and bury your father." So Joseph went to bury his father. All the king's officers, the elders of his court, and all the elders of Egypt went with Joseph. Everyone who lived with Joseph and his brothers went with him, and everyone who lived with his father also went. They left only their children, their flocks, and their herds in the land of Goshen. Men in chariots and on horses also went with Joseph. It was a very large group. They went to the threshing floor of Atad, east of the Jordan River. There they cried loudly and bitterly for Jacob, also called Israel. Joseph's time of sorrow continued for 7 days. The people that lived in Canaan saw the sadness at the threshing floor of Atad. They said, "Those Egyptians are showing great sorrow." So now that place is named Sorrow of the Egyptians. So Jacob's sons did what their father commanded. They carried his body to the land of Canaan. They buried it in the cave in the field of Machpelah near Mamre. Abraham had bought this cave and field from Ephraim the Hittite. He bought the cave to use as a burial place. After Joseph buried his father, he returned to Egypt. His brothers and everyone who had gone with him to bury his father also returned. After Jacob died, Joseph's brothers said, "What if Joseph is still angry with us? We did many wrong things to him. What if he plans to pay us back?" So they sent a message to Joseph. It said, "Your father gave this command before he died. He said to us, 'You have done wrong. You have sinned and done evil to Joseph. Tell Joseph to forgive you, his brothers.' So now, Joseph, we beg you to forgive our wrong. We are the servants of the God of your father." When Joseph received the message, he cried, and his brothers went to him and bowed low before him. They said, "We are your slaves." Then Joseph said to them, "Don't be afraid. Can I do what only God can do? You meant to hurt me, but God turned your evil into good. It was to save the lives of many people, and it is being done. So don't be afraid. I will take care of you and your children." So Joseph comforted his brothers and spoke kind words to them. Joseph continued to live in Egypt with all his father's family. He died when he was 110 years old. During Joseph's life, Ephraim had children and grandchildren, and Joseph's son Manasseh had a son named Machir. Joseph accepted Machir's children as his own. Joseph said to his brothers, "I am about to die, but God will take care of you. He will lead you out of this land. He will lead you to the land he promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Then Joseph had the sons of Israel make a promise. He said, "Promise me that you will carry my bones with you out of Egypt." Joseph died when he was 110 years old. Doctors prepared his body for burial. Then they put him in a coffin in Egypt. I wonder, how did Joseph respond when he saw his father Jacob in Goshen? Did you guess right? When Joseph saw his father, he hugged him and cried for a long time. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please note that we will be publishing our videos every fortnight. See you next time. Bye for now.